You ever get done just setting up a job for a chimney and you set up all the scaffolding and you just say to yourself, how did I arrive at this point? I mean, this is ridiculous. Not OSHA compliant at all. But so I'm going to be ripping down this chimney and rebuilding it. And we had to set up this whole mass of scaffolding, you know, on multiple roof levels to be able to do this job. And so we're just set up now, and we're gonna start doing the demo. But this is a look around. You know, some of these setups are just not easy. And, you know, I just basically set them up for me, so I don't have employees to worry about or anything for safety. So I don't actually have to be OSHA compliant here. And I just do what I can to get the job done. You can see I've got I'm planked over to my pitch hopper on the roof, and different roof level here with the dormer in the way, a 5-foot wide setup to fit in there, which, I mean, a 5-foot wide is not a good setup at all for doing brickwork, but just got to make it work. When I show up at a job and I'm looking at a chimney or brickwork, whether it's new or old, because this is my trade, what I focus on mostly is brick bonding first, how somebody bonded out the brickwork. And so when I look at a job, I know immediately if the person knew what they were doing or not, or if they were close, you know. And sometimes you give them a little slack, but so here's a big red flag for me. When I look at the bonding of this brickwork into the Shadowbox, immediately I spot this here. Not only do I spot the big joints and all the other stuff, but I spot this brick is a full brick against this half brick in the Shadowbox, and immediately know that this chimney won't bond through. This is a critical mistake in bonding. This course should have been here, so this should have been a full brick, right? Because we can't put, when we get up here, we can't put this brick over here to land there, you know? Half on half, if that makes sense. And so you can look at, you know, they bonded it out improperly, and they tried to fix it here with a bunch of small scab pieces. And when you come around the back, there's a bunch of scab pieces in the back and on the other side. And obviously it doesn't, I mean, you look at the brickwork and it's been repaired a lot. You know, the brickwork initially wasn't good, and then the repair work wasn't good. So another thing I want to talk about is this paint. This paint is not breathable. Otherwise, the water comes in from the top through the concrete crown wash and stores in that chimney, and it can't go anywhere. So if the water can't go anywhere, it's going to freeze and it's going to destroy your chimney. So let me just take you for a walk and I'll show you what the chimney looks like. It's all just kind of split and cracked up. And on this side, it's really bad. You can actually just see the whole chimney has a bow in it. And it's just falling apart, and there's just no saving this one. Just that paint. I mean, there's no water getting through that stuff. Actually, see how wet it is right there where I just peeled that paint off. All the water's just storing behind there, you know. That's what you don't want. And actually, so I've got 4 chimneys. This one's a rebuild, and these ones are just going to be repairs and possibly reflashing. They're all leaking, so we have to figure out the problems. And you know, some of them are worse than others, like this one. There's quite a bit of rebuilding that has to happen right on the top here, but I mean, overall they're in better shape than this one. This is a quick little look at the moisture. I don't know if you can tell, but all this stuff is pretty damp. And this is all your mortar that is turned back to pretty much just sand. This is what happens when the water sits in your mortar, and it freezes and thaws and freezes and thaws, and it just cycles to failure. Chimney's down. This is what it's looking like. You can see we're down to the point where it was 2 brick thick. I still got to clean a lot of this stuff up, but just taking a look at this stuff, it seems like the roofer did a decent job with the ice and water shield. It seems to cover everywhere. You can see there's a little bit of rot back there. It's been leaking in, probably not through the ice and water shield, but maybe through seepage through the brick, and just sitting with the masonry right up against there and just rotting, and then maybe some dry rotting too. So yeah, this chimney's 2 brick thick, but the interesting thing is, well, so on top of this it was clay flues to the top, but the interesting thing is, if you look down there, you can see the clay flue tile starts, I don't know, 10 feet down or something. You can see better in this one. Let's look in this flue here. There we are. So if you look down, you can see that those flues go all the way down to the basement. Now, I don't know what kind of crazy person built this that would bring flues up to that point and then just 2 courses of brick thick here, and then at some point somebody rebuilt it, I guess, from, you know, the roof up, and they put some flues back in. So kind of a weird little thing, but we're just going to build it back up 1 course thick, like a normal chimney, shadow box on each side. This one's getting a stainless steel liner that's going to go down to the boiler. This flue, actually, it serves nothing. It goes to nothing. So got the chimney, we're starting to build it up, and we've got this shadow box detail, and just wanted to show you the setup. So as you can see, that we have jack lines for everything. Plumbing up a chimney like this is super time consuming, so it's just a makeshift setup for right now, and then when I get my scaffolding set up higher, you know, I'll put it way up and get the lines going the whole way. And the reason for doing this is there's just so many plumb points. If you look at how many plumb points there are per corner, there's 2 per corner on every one, and I gotta plumb up this. So there's 20 different points you have to plumb on every single course. These jack lines are like a real savior, and it you know, it allows you to have real precise work. Everything's shot with a laser, so I know everything's nice and plumb. But I was going to kind of show you something cool that you might not see every day is the shadow box. So not every chimney has a shadow box, and we're going to talk about tying it in. So we have a single wall chimney going around, just 1 brick thick, and this is how we're going to tie in the shadow box. So this is the divider wall, and we're going to tie this divider wall in as we go up with corrugated wall ties, and those will be laid on mortar. So we'll put mortar down and then the wall tie. On this one, it gets tied in a little different. So we have this kind of funky cut here, and you can see, you know, because a lot of guys will just put, you know, a half here, and never tie this shadow box in the whole way, right? But so in order to tie it in, you know, we're gonna make funky cuts like this here and there. It doesn't have to be every course, like that, and that will tie in our shadow box with masonry, how it'll be all bonded and nice. And then on the next course is like this, right? Comes to here, and then we have another full brick. We can't bond that in with the masonry. So on that course, we'll use the corrugated wall ties on mortar. Just got the concrete on for the crown wash. Showing you my setup. I have my Bronco up against that plank wedged into the chimney so I can put these planks over the top. I have my jack lines for the chimney all screwed into that. Now we leave these on so we can tarp it off for the night. That's what it looks like. You can see the shadow box a little bit. So now we just have to just wash it and put in the flashing, and we'll be done. Next week, I have a stainless liner that will go in here. I'll remove that mesh when I put it in. This one serves nothing, so that mesh will stay, and I'll get a block off plate for the top. They're not using it, so I'll just silicone a thin piece of stainless steel over there, just so there's no air infiltration and no bees can be nesting in there. All right, here's a look. Next day, concrete crown wash is starting to set up. Well, it's drying anyway. That's why it looks all multicolored like this. We just finished it up last night, and this is what the top looks like. We are going down below to do some lead flashing to start getting all this plank out of the way so we can work down there. Okay, so we're doing the flashing, and something a little different with this one. I've actually taken a line and I used my 6-foot level to scribe a line from that point to this point. So all my flashing steps exactly. Okay, we did that so we could miss this shadow box, and we didn't end up coming inside this shadow box like some of the other chimneys too. You can tell that the flashing's all kind of messed up. And then this chimney over here to the left, it actually goes through the shadow box. You can see this chimney over here, it's in the shadow box again too. Okay, so we've missed the shadow box. Everything steps up nice and consistent. Unfortunately, the shingles stop a little bit short here because the dimension of the chimney is a different size, because now we're using modular brick instead of standard brick. Anyhow, yeah, so the chimney is a little smaller because we're using modular brick. So it's a little bit off the shingles. Now I'm gonna have to go and get some shingles to try to match and get them a little bit closer. It'll be watertight for now like this, but really what I want to show is the back piece of flashing. A couple people have asked about how to do the back piece. I've got this, I put ice and water shield on all this, and I took out this piece, this one shingle here. And I'm just going to show you the detail on the back piece. So I've got it cut, and I'm going to get it in there like that. And then I'm just going to take and make sure, first I'm going to make sure this piece is nice and plumb and where it's supposed to be. Okay. And then I'm going to cut right here, straight down, like this, and like this. So I'll just use my snip sensor right here. Come right like that. So put it back on, make sure you're plumb. Okay. Now I have this piece sticking up here, right? And what I'm gonna do is just give this a little relief right here without cutting my brand new ice and water shield. Okay, and then I'm just gonna fold this around. It's just really gonna help hold it while I'm working on it, and make sure everything stays in place after I adhere it. So fold that around, fold that down. Okay, and that's how that one's gonna get stuck in there. All right. Obviously, it's gonna go under the shingles afterwards. I have to pull these shingles and redo them, so this piece will actually go under the shingles. I just have this ice and water shield like this because it's gonna rain any moment. And so the next piece of lead will be the apron piece or the gutter piece, and we'll come from the back and up and around this, okay? And that's the next step I'll show you, is that detail, how that will bend around here. Ready? Go. Okay. Your finger, stop putting your finger in the camera, dude.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have Chad Vaughancourt here showing you the back apron piece of the flashing. He's about ready to do some measurements. He just showed you the corner piece, guys, that he cut, his special custom cut. There you go.
You're gonna notice on this chimney, we don't have a cricket. A cricket is a small peak that goes behind the chimney and dies into the roof. Okay, we don't need a cricket on a chimney that I believe it's less than 30 inches. 30 inches is an arbitrary number, but I think that's actually the code. You're never gonna be 30 inches because your chimney with masonry is always gonna be around, it's either gonna be 28 inches or real close, or 32 inches or real close. It's never gonna be 30. So this one's only 24 inches wide. We don't need a cricket. None of the other chimneys have a cricket. So next, we're gonna show you how to put this apron piece on, or the gutter piece, whichever you'd like to call it. So this is what the back gutter piece is looking like. It goes up behind the shingle, comes up, you know, about to here somewhere. You can also put ice and water shield over that piece farther up if you want. But this is how it goes. So we just have like a 2-inch ear here, and we're gonna try to bend that around, right? So if you go real slow with it and real soft with your mallet, you're just gonna bend this little ear around. And you gotta kind of bend it inward at the same time, and it will crumple a little bit. And then sometimes, because you can't get your mallet at this angle, I like to take the rubber on my cutters and just kind of use that to help get this piece around. And if you just work it real slow, sometimes you can use a little heat, and that seems to help out. And just keep going around it, okay? And now we're actually gonna go like at an inward and upward motion with this ear here. We're gonna tuck it back towards itself like that. And it's more about, it's not about big hits, it's about a lot of tiny little hits. And then you won't tear it, and then you'll get it right where you want it to be. Okay? Now, that's how that piece goes. And then this shingle will actually come right up, the next shingle goes under here, and will come right behind this like that. Okay? Next step, I'll show you this piece. We're gonna put this piece in and bend that over and around, and I'll show you that next step after. This bend that goes up the back of the chimney here is 2 inches is where I put my bend at. And that's plenty to get water. I mean, if you can get more, you can get more, but the problem is it gets harder to bend. If you went 3 inches here, it would get harder to bend this around. So depending on the pitch of the roof, you know, you just have to find a happy medium for what works for you. So I went up 2 inches here, and I extended beyond 2 inches this way, and I was able to bend that around pretty easily. So this roof isn't terribly steep. So like on a steeper roof, it might be harder to get that around, or on a shallower roof, you might be able to get more around. I've got this top piece of counter flashing in. Just gonna show you how to bend it. So I've come, we're getting this flashing done just in time here. Just starting to rain. So 1.5 inches beyond here on this side, and I'm just gonna show you how to bend it around. We're gonna go real slow with it, make sure it's nice and flat, and then we're gonna start working this around like this. Okay? We wanna make sure we go real slow. You can use a lot of hits, but not hard. Okay? And then we're gonna try to correct this as it tries to bend that way. Try to keep it straight. When it gets tight in this spot here, you can use the back of your cutters. Okay, so basically it's just like that. And you know, if there's a little excess here, you can always just trim that off with your razor blade to clean it up a little bit. But that's pretty much it. With the shingle over here, the ice and water shield, and how it's layered, it's all going to be 100% watertight. So I'm setting up, trying to set up some scaffolding here beside this chimney, and it's a little challenging because this pitch is so steep. Okay, this pitch here is well beyond 45 degrees. You can see my pitch hopper is actually tilting back that way. And so I have to get out here to put this cross brace on, right? So I put the pitch hopper on here, and the pitch hopper just doesn't care. I mean, the pitch hopper doesn't care. It just clings to this roof like magic. Thing is unbelievable. Here we are, all set up. Nice work platform. Not like we have to put a bunch of brick on it. We're just mainly doing some grinding and repointing. This is what it looks like. All set up, all three of them. Decent work platform. Doesn't have to be crazy, just something safe enough to work on. Did an acid wash on that chimney earlier. Starting to lighten up now as it's drying, but it's all clean and all done.